Okay, so good morning, grade 11, all track. So for English, for academic and professional purposes, we have lesson number 1, which is the critical approaches in writing a critic. Okay. So first, what is critic? So a critic is a careful analysis of an argument to determine what is said, how well the points are made, what assumptions underlie the argument, what issues are overlooked, and what implications are drawn from such observations. It is a systematic yet personal response and evaluation of what you read. It is a genre of academic writing that briefly summarizes and critically evaluates a work or concept. So, in giving critic sa isang in a piece of paper or sa isang ating binasa, so paano ba magbigay ng isang critic? So, of course, in a good way, in a good situation, in a proper way of approaching. So, let's say, you are in a group. So, sa isang grupo, merong isang tagabasa. Of course, you need to give the comprehension of it. So, paano niya ikikritik yung isang paper na gawa ng isang, of course, let's say, gawa ng isang teacher. So, paano kayo magbibigay ng inyong analysis dun sa binasa ninyo? So, ang tawag doon is critic. So, hindi nyo siya ibe-base na wala akong naintindihan, ganyan-ganyan. So, more on negative ang mga sinasabi. Pero, of course, pwede rin naman in a positive outcome. Okay? So, careful dapat ang pagbibigay ng analysis sa isang paper. Kasi maaaring iba ang response sa inyo, kumbaga sumama yung loob pagka hindi okay yung inyong pagkikritik at walang basis kayong binabanggit sa kanila. So, mas mahirap yun. Okay. So, critics can be used to carefully analyze a variety of works such as 1. Creative works, ito yung mga novels, exhibits, films, images, poetry. So, creative works, for example, film. Ayan, nanood kayo ng sine sa SM. So, pagkapanood nyo, of course, meron kayong masasabi. Maaring ang galing naman nung nag-acting, ang galing naman nung, ang ganda nung setting, ang ganda nung place na pinag-shootingan, ganyan. Pero, minsan nakakalimutan natin yung pagbibigay ng critic dun sa mismong nagsulat ng kwento, di ba? So, nagbe-base kayo sa kung anong nakikita nyo, pero yung thankfulness dun sa nagsulat ng storya, nung palabas na yon ay minsan nakakalimutan nyo. So, dapat isinasama nyo rin siya sa critic. So, kung nagustuhan nyo yung storya kasi nakaka-relate kayo, kaya nyo pinanood, ibig sabihin, effective si writer. Okay ba yun? So, yun yung tinatawag na creative works. So, pagdating din sa novels, sa exhibits, may pinuntahan kayong exhibits, mga picture ng mga Pilipino na nakasmile kahit maraming sakuna na nangyari. So, magbibigay kayo ng critic tungkol dyan. Ibig sabihin, napakaganda ng kanyang pagkakakuha, literal na literal, normal, at walang halong effects or kahit na ano. So, yun yung creative works. So, when we say research naman, ito naman yung monographs, journal, articles, systematic reviews, and then the theories. For example, sa articles, sa social media, maraming articles na nasa-share dyan, mga balita or mga lifestyle ng mga artista or kung sino man, mga fini-feature nilang mga lugar. So, nakakapagbigay din tayo ng critics natin dyan. Okay? So, sa ganyan, dapat careful tayo. Okay? So, sa mga nakikita nyo online na maganda yung lugar, pupuntahan nyo, so ganito yung way. So, na a-attempt kayo na gusto nyo puntahan kasi ang ganda ng critic nyo, which is ang ganda ng place, gusto nyo puntahan, di pa kayo nakakapunta doon, kaya gusto nyo. So, yun naman, nagpo-fall siya sa research. Okay? Then, the third one is the media. News reports, feature articles. So, media, news reports. So, sa pagbabalita, nagkakaroon kayo ng mga insights. For example, sa news. So, mga news reports, gusto nyong magkaroon ng insights dun sa nakita nyo. Or, let's say, itong katatapos lang na nagbagyuhan, nakita nyo yung mga reports tungkol doon. Then, bibigyan siya ng critique. Kumbaga, ganun pala yung nangyari, gusto nyong tumulong, gusto nyong mag-donate. So, iyon yung nagiging outcome ng inyong pagkikritik sa isang bagay or sa isang or sa mga nakikita nyo. So, may outcome or may result na lumalabas na gusto nyo na may mangyari. Okay? So, yun yung critics can be used to carefully analyze. So, like an essay, a critic uses a formal academic writing style and has a clear structure that is first, introduction, body, and conclusion. So, yun yung una nating mga tinapik na kailangan sa pagsusulat ng essay, dapat kumpleto, may introduction, body, and of course, the conclusion. So, however, the body of a critic includes a summary of the work and a detailed evaluation. The purpose of an evaluation is to gauge the usefulness or impact of a work in a particular field. So, why do we write critics? Writing a critique on a work helps us to develop. So, nagsusulat tayo or nakikritik tayo, sinusulat natin ng mga critics natin, wherein is to give feedback dun sa ating binasa, dun sa ating nakita, napanood, napakinggan. So, ayan yan. So, first is a knowledge of the work, subject area, or related words. An understanding of the work's purpose, intended audience, development of arguments, structure of evidence or creative style, a recognition of the strengths and weaknesses of the work. So, how to write a critic. So, before you start writing, it is important to have a thorough understanding of the work that will be critiqued. So, mahalaga na naiintindihan mo muna yung iyong binabasa bago ka magbigay ng isang critique. Kasi, kung ibabase mo lang sa nakita mo lang agad, so hindi critique ang tawag doon. You are making your judgment dun sa isang paper na yun. So, dapat naiintindihan mo muna. So, study the work under discussion and then make notes on key parts of the work. Okay? So, develop an understanding of the main argument or purpose being expressed in the work. Consider how the work relates to a broader issue or content. So, read about the critical approaches. You can highlight some important ideas. You can use this in expressing your views. So, we have different approaches in writing a critique. First is the formalist. So, this approach regards literature as a unique form of human knowledge that needs to be examined on its own terms. All the elements necessary for understanding the work are contained within the work itself. Of particular interest to the formalistic critique are the elements of form, style, structure, tone, imagery, and etc. that are found within the text. So, lahat ng mga binanggit, iyon ay nagfo-fall for the formalist approaches in writing a critique. So, a primary goal for formalistic critics is to determine how such elements work together with the text content to shape its effects upon readers. Okay, next, which is gender criticism. This approach examines how sexually identity influences the creation and reception of literary works. Originally an offshoot of feminist movements, gender criticisms today includes a number of approaches, including so-called masculinist approach recently advocated by poet Robert Bly. The bulk of gender criticism, however, is feminist and takes as essential precept that the 10 patriarchal attitudes that have dominated Western thought have resulted consciously or unconsciously in literature full of unexamined male produce. So, gender criticism. When we say criticism, you are giving your opinion to another. So this is about the gender of a feminist to or sa mga lalaki din. So careful kayo dyan sa pagbibigay ng critic ninyo. Maaring hindi kayo makarelate or wala kayong knowledge about dun sa ganong scenario. Third, feminist criticism. So this is attempts to correct this imbalance by analyzing and combating such attitudes by questioning. For example, why none of the characters in Shakespeare's play Othello ever changed the right of a husband to murder a wife accused of adultery? So other goals of feminist critics include analyzing how sexual identity influences the reader of a text and examining how the images of men and women in imaginative literature reflect or reject the social forces that have historically kept the sexes from achieving total equality. So kagaya nung gender criticism, ganun din sa feminist criticism. So, careful kayo when it comes to critique something or to give your perception regarding dun sa paper na inyong mababasa. So, dapat careful kayo palagi. Hindi pa pwedeng kung anong gusto nyo sabihin, iyon. No. Try to give an emphasis dun sa mga or i-highlight ninyo sa mga hindi nyo masyadong naintindihan, and you can ask the writer itself para mas malinaw. So, feminist criticism examines the images of women and concepts of the feminine in myth and literature, uses the psychological, archetypal, and sociological approaches, often focuses on female characters who have been neglected in previous criticism. So, feminist critics attempt to correct or supplement what they regard as a predominantly male-dominated critical perspective. So, number 4 would be the historical. So, this approach seeks to understand a literary work by investigating the social, cultural, and intellectual context that produced it. A context that necessarily includes the artist's biography and milieu. A key goal for historical critics is to understand the effect of literary work upon its original readers. So, in historical, careful kayo kasi you can search or research the background para mas lalo nyo maintindihan sa pagbibigay ng isang critic. Maaaring hindi mo naman siya naabutan o maaaring hindi mo maintindihan kasi hindi mo generation yung iyong nabasa. So, you can talk, you can research, or you can interview someone para mas malinaw yung dating sa'yo nung text na yon. Okay? So, fifth, reader response criticism. So, paano ba mag-response ang isang reader sa pagbibigay ng isang criticism? So, this approach takes as a fundamental tenet that literature exists not as an artifact upon a printed page but as a transaction between the physical text and the mind of a reader. It attempts to describe what happens in the reader's mind while interpreting a text and reflects that reading, like writing, is a creative. So, in reading, in writing, creative pa din yun kasi you are giving your approach dun sa mga binasa mo, sa sinulat mo. So, parehas lang din sila. But, be careful sometimes na maaring hindi natin lubos na naintindihan yung text na yun. So, we can read again and again para mas makuha natin yung gusto nilang sabihin. Okay? So, 6 is the structuralism. Focus on how human behavior is determined by social, cultural, and psychological structures. It tended to offer single, unified approach to human life that would embrace all disciplines. The essence of structuralism is the belief that things cannot be understood in isolation. They have to be seen in the context of larger structures which contain them. For example, the structuralist analysis of Donne's poem, Good Morrow, demands more focus on the relevant genre, the concept of courtly love, rather than on the close reading of the formal elements of the text. So, formal elements of the text, which is the yung form, yung structure in a good praising or giving your sentences in a good manner, in a good context. So, structure. Ibig sabihin, nakafocus ito sa pagbibigay, the way of how you say kung anong gusto mong sabihin. 7 is the sociological. It focuses on the man's relationship to others in society, politics, religion, and business. So, ito yung usual na nangyayari sa atin is nagbibigay tayo ng mga critic about sa ibang tao, sa sarili natin, even sa politics, of course, yung mga binabalita na nakakapagbigay tayo, at sa mga religion, sa business, society, yung mga in-demands, mga nauuso ngayon, yan yung madalas na ginagawa natin or nangyayari sa atin. So, sociological ang tawag doon. So, critic, nagbibigay ka ng critics sa iba. So, yun si sociological. Ayan. So, yun si sociological. So, I hope you really understand what our lesson is for this week. So, I hope na may naintindihan kayo. Medyo short lang naman siya. So, critical approaches in writing a critic. Wag kayong basta magbibigay ng mga opinion or inyong mga gustong sabihin ng basta-basta lang. Okay, try to emphasize, analyze things first bago kayo magbigay ng critic or magsulat ng critic dun sa inyong nakita, nabasa, nadinig. Okay? So, thank you for today and keep safe everyone. God bless.